welcome to Conversations on Craft, the podcast that aims to demystify the publishing process and help writers improve their craft. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Cate Haynes. Cate is a neurodivergent writer who also works as a speech and language therapist in schools. She is the author of the middle grade magical fantasy The Spell Whisperer, which won the Right Mentor Children's Novel Award in 2023 and is soon publishing with Moon and Bird in 2027. Cate, welcome to Conversations on Craft.
Hi, thank you. It's lovely to talk to you.
We're going to start with our quickfire round. Book or Kindle?
Book. I much prefer a book. Being able to kind of go back and revisit parts that I've really enjoyed, I love that. And I often reread books and trying to work out how authors have achieved something so I can learn from it. I love being able to do that. I have also been getting more into audiobooks recently. I have a fairly long commute into work, so it's at least an hour each way, and it's a perfect opportunity to fit in more reading. And so I've really enjoyed doing that as well.
You're my second guest with said audiobooks, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, someone last week said audiobooks. I thought, I didn't even think of that as an option, but of course, yeah.
Yeah, the narrators are so great. Often it's like more like listening to a radio play.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
And what's your favourite genre?
I have really eclectic tastes. I read across all sorts of genre, all sorts of age groups, middle grade, young adult. But I love anything that feels like a puzzle to work out. Anything that gives my brains, working out who done it or what's happening in the background to cause whatever's gone wrong. When I was a teenager, the young adult wasn't really a thing, so I kind of graduated straight from middle grade onto Agatha Christie and everything else is. So I love anything like that where I get to go, oh, is it this person? Is it that person? What are the clues?
That's a great journey into reading, Cate. Middle grade, straight for the
into
Great Christie.
Yeah, straight into murders.
Yes, yeah. What's your favourite children's book?
As a child, I loved the Wizards of Earthsea Chronicles by Ursula Le Guin. But probably more recently, I really loved Songlight by, I think, Moira Buffini. I really loved that. That's a young adult. Yeah, it was beautifully written and lots to work for my brain to work out, so it's good.
I'm adding that to my TBR list. I've not heard of that.
Yeah, it's a trilogy.
3 books for the price of one.
Oh, I know.
Like it. Yeah.
Although I don't think the third one's come out quite yet.
Oh, you're frustrated. I like to binge, so I might wait for the third book to be out and binge it all together. One book you wished you'd written?
Gosh, this is really hard. Maybe The Haunting of Hill House by Shelley Jackson. I mean, there's a lot about it that's definitely of its time, but it's such a masterclass in writing believable characters and their relationships, and it does also include some really brilliant twists, and yeah, I really loved it.
It's the creeping dread I love in Shirley Jackson.
Really creepy. Yeah. It's the right kind of horror for me. I don't do like gory horror or anything like that.
Yeah.
But creepy horror, yes please.
Do you prefer series or standalone?
I do like a nice juicy standalone now and again, but I love series. I love staying with characters and seeing them develop, and that was one of the things I liked about Songlight, actually, because in the sequel you've got the same core of main characters that you're hearing from, but it brings in some new characters and you hear from their points of view as well. I love the layers that it allows you to build into books and into story worlds.
It's interesting. In movies now, I prefer series because I feel there's so much more, the same principle, there's so much layering that you can do over a series that you can't do in a standalone movie.
Absolutely.
Books are the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the best thing about being a writer?
Having an excuse to daydream about imaginary people doing imaginary things and getting to call it work. And also, it's a brilliant excuse for buying more books because, market research.
Yeah. That's the best answer ever, Kate. That's my favourite answer. So we're going to dive into your journey now. And so when did you first begin writing?
Well, I mean, like most writers, I have always written. My absolute favourite lesson at school was English Lit when we were either reading or able to write our own stories. I absolutely loved it. But like a lot of writers, my parents said to me, "No, you need to have a proper job. Writing's not a proper job. You can't you have bills to pay, so please get a proper career." So after I'd been to university and qualified as a speech therapist, it suddenly dawned on me that I didn't have to do any academic writing anymore. I could do what I liked in my free time. I wasn't studying. So I wrote my very first book, which was middle grade sci-fi, oddly, which is, I don't read much sci-fi, so I don't know where that one came from, but that was in 2001. And I entered it into, at the time, Waterstones ran a competition for unpublished writers, and I made it through to the regional finals, and I thought, oh, this is it, I knew it, I knew I was going to be a writer, this is it. And then obviously didn't make it any further, but thought, well, obviously I need an agent now. So I sent it out to 22 agents. And back then, you had to send submissions through the post. So big thick wad of first 3 chapters, a synopsis, which I had no clue how to write, a query letter, which I had no clue how to write, and a stamped self-addressed envelope. And 22 rejections later, I still have a fairly Pavlovian response to the sound of heavy envelopes coming through the letterbox. And I was devastated.
Oh.
Because I thought it would be really easy. In fact, I was so devastated that I stopped writing for years.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
And, during that time, worked on my career, met my now husband, started to have children. When did I start writing next? I picked it up again in about 2018.
Gosh, so that's like nearly 17 years later, is it? 16 years later?
Yeah, it was a long time. So that was when I started querying again, was 2018. But I probably started writing again. I think it was probably around 2016, 2017. So it was a good few years out of writing.
Yeah.
And never stopped. And so I started querying again started keeping a log of querying in 2018. And over the 8 books I wrote before I signed with my agent, I clocked up 179 rejections. So I think
that deserves a round of applause. That's incredible.
I'm nothing if not determined.
Yes, yes. So when you had that break from writing, and then what made you come back to it? Was there a particular moment, or did you have a story idea?
Yeah, a bit of both. Before I had kids, my husband and I were driving around the New Forest one day, and there was a diversion put in place because of a road closure. So we were sent round this back road, and little lay-by, and there was this dilapidated old house that had a for sale sign outside. And we were not in the market for a new house at all. We just liked looking at houses. And we pulled over in this lay-by and we're looking at it. And the estate agent walked down the path and said, "I haven't got the keys with me, and actually it hasn't been lived in for 25 years, but would feel free to get out and have a look around the garden and peer in through the windows." And I'm a lifelong believer. I just love magic. I've always loved magic. In fact, when I was 6, I wrote a letter to the Tooth Fairy asking the Tooth Fairy to make me magic. And because she didn't oblige, or they didn't oblige, that was one of the things that prompted me to write, because I get to write about magic. And the experience of walking around that garden, it was like something out of a fairy tale. I still remember it really, really clearly. It was just beautiful. And I thought, I have to write about this place. I really have to write about this place. And that became the setting for my second book, which was also middle grade, but magical fantasy adventure.
What a story.
Yeah.
What is your favourite part of the writing process, Cate?
Usually the part I'm not doing. So when I'm writing a first draft, I'm thinking, oh, I really wish I was editing this. And then when I get to editing, I'm like, oh, I really wish I was writing the first draft. But probably actually my top favourite part is the part before you start writing, when it's that perfect, really exciting idea and you just can't stop thinking about it. It's a bit like falling in love. You just can't stop thinking about it, and little ideas or snatches of dialogue might pop into my head, and I'm always on the notes app on my phone going, oh, I'll write that down just in case I forget. And I think I like the puzzle of it, so fitting all those little fragments together into some kind of thing that might make sense and be appealing.
Do you nurse an idea for a long time then, when you get those thoughts and the kind of spidey tingles that this
Do
is?
now, yeah. My first few books, I didn't really plot at all. I just started writing. So my very first book, I learned that I could actually write enough words to fill a book. And my second book, I learned better how to write better and how to think a bit more about story. And I'd joined a local group for women writers, and that gave me a much better idea of story. I was writing a lot of flash fiction at the time as well, and that really trained me to get those elements of a beginning, a middle, and an end in place really quickly, because you've only got 300 to 500 words for an entire story, so you have to be really concise.
When you first get that idea, do you nurse it for a while and let it build before you start writing, or?
Yeah, very much so. So I spend quite a lot of time thinking up ideas, thinking out how it all fits together. I handwrite a lot at that stage, so I have notebooks that I use, like a specific kind, because I know that it has to feel nice, it has to be good quality paper and a nice pen. So I use a fountain pen with different coloured ink.
Oh,
So it feels nice, and it's really, when you look at it, it's really, really scruffy, full of crossings out, and like, I'm not precious about it, but it has to be a nice writing experience, and that really helps me to get the ideas out and onto paper. And I use a lot of mind maps. I print out lots of little tiny, I have something called a zip printer, which uses I think it's like heat reactive paper, and I stick those in for character ideas and location ideas, and I plan off that and use those as prompts a lot.
Oh, that sounds very exciting. Yeah. I'm one of those terrible people who I buy myself a really nice notebook, and then I can't bring myself to write in it because it's just too pretty.
But it's really helped me to have like the specific brand, because in my head that is my writing notebook. Yes. So I have to write in it.
You spoke about joining a writing group. Yeah. What other things helped you to develop your craft?
All sorts of different writing groups. So that one was great for prompts. We were all very, very different, doing very different forms of writing. So some of us were songwriters, some were poets, some were flash fiction specialists, some wrote adult long form, a few children long form like me. And it was prompt led. So you would just go along and there would be a prompt. You would do what you wanted with it. And it was great for my confidence because you could choose whether or not you wanted to share what you'd written. And of course, there's a lot of writing talk that happens in and around that group, and it was really refreshing and what's the word? Maybe nourishing, maybe is the right word, in a kind of creative way, because it really made me, it made me get my bum in my seat, my pen in my hand, and actually get down to it. And B, it put me in touch with other writers and other writing groups that were more specifically to do with children's writing. So Scooby, the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, and Write Mentor are the two main ones. And they've run a lot of workshops and opportunities to have one-to-ones with agents and competitions. And I have the kind of brain where I need a deadline, and it has to be an external deadline. Otherwise, I will change the deadline to suit me when I haven't done what I think I need to do. So competitions have really helped me, and just learning as much as I can. Every book I've written, I've become a better writer, and I can see that through the log I've kept since 2018 of my submissions to agents and competitions, because as soon as you start longlisting, or as soon as you start getting really helpful, incisive feedback from competitions that offer that, that's when you know you're onto something.
You had some real early success with a competition. Yeah. Are you a competition addict like me? Did you enter everything, or what kind of competitions did you enjoy entering?
Oh, all sorts of things. Right, Mentor Children's Novel Award, Bath Children's Novel Award, Yeovil, Winchester, I Am in Print. All the competitions I could find, I entered over and over and over and over again, year after year. In fact, Bath Children's Novel Award, I think I entered with various different books 8 years. And on the final year, just before I signed with my agent, I actually got longlisted.
Wow.
Yes, after all this time.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. So that was really lovely.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of competitions, and I kind of miss being able to do that in a way now.
Soon you'll be entering the published book competitions, Kate.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Fancy ones. Yeah. So can you tell us how you got the idea for The Spell Whisperer? Was it linked to the visit to that house, or was that for a different book?
No, that was a very different book. That was book 2, and that I ever wrote. And The Spell Whisperer, I started writing in 2020 in the lockdown, and I got the idea from it mainly because I have a mild stammer, which you probably won't hear that much anymore because I'm always using my fluency techniques that work for me. But my fluency is always at the back of my mind. It's always something that I'm kind of thinking about and taking account of, and making sure that I'm presenting myself verbally as best I can. And like most, if not all people who stammer, I have had some upsetting experiences in my life with people's reactions. And that's, it's been in my mind for a long time to write a book with the main character who has a stammer. But I couldn't think of a way to do it that wasn't too didactic and dry. And, you should not do this, you must do this. And like I said earlier, I've had a lifelong fascination with all things magical. And I put those two things together. So I wanted the story not to be about the stammer, but to be about magic. So Nan kind of came out of that fascination with magic, and she's a young witch from a hugely talented magical family. But in her world, magic only works if the spell is spoken correctly, word perfectly, completely fluently. If you make any mistakes, it'll go wrong. It'll have unexpected consequences. And she feels there's a lot of pressure on her to live up to her family's reputation and set a good example for her talented younger sister, Alba. But because of her stammer, she feels pretty helpless. And they live in a city called Juneau, and there's a nightfall curfew that's been set in recent months in Juneau because soul raisers prowl the city streets at night, and they've developed a real taste for the souls of young magical witches.
Oh, I'm getting tingles.
And when they take first Nan's sister and then her best friends, things get really personal. And she has only until the next full moon, which is the following night, to find where they're being kept and to rescue them before they lose their souls and they're returned as empty shells.
Oh, Kate, that is incredible.
Thank
and
you.
I've got to wait till 2027 now.
I know, sorry.
Sorry, not sorry, everyone. Gosh, there are so many elements of that I just adore, like the soul eating, and oh, it sounds wonderful. And the stakes are like progressively complicated all the time, aren't they? Even from your pitch, the stakes feel huge. So her stammer has such real life consequences.
Yeah.
So when you first wrote your first draft, did it take many drafts, or did it come out fully formed, or can you talk us through
It definitely
the
did
process
not
of the
come
book?
out fully formed, and it was when I was learning how to plot. So I plotted fairly lightly with it, and I don't know how many drafts it went through, but it probably took me 2 or 3 years to get to a stage where I felt, actually, I'm really starting to get to the real story now. And I had a lot of writer friends and give me feedback and lots of feedback from various competitions. The first year, for example, that I entered the Right Mentor Novel Award with it, it didn't longlist, and I carried on working on it. The following year, when I entered it into Right Mentor, it longlisted but didn't get any further. Then the year after that, which was, I think I entered it in 2022 with that one, and it longlisted, and I thought, well, that's good. So the changes I've made haven't made it worse. That's excellent.
It's always relieving to hear that, isn't it? It's
Absolutely, absolutely. And then it made the shortlist, and I thought, oh, this feels like winning. I feel like I've won, because obviously, Kate, it's not going to get any further, because the 4 agent judges, out of the 4 of them, 2 of them had already seen and rejected the full manuscript. So I thought, well, clearly I'm not going to win. So, and actually, I'm really glad about that, because I could just put it to the back of my mind, completely forget about it, because I felt I didn't have a hope of getting any further. And then I won.
Oh my goodness. Wow. What was it like? Did they notify you by email?
They did.
Can you remember the moment when you read the email?
I do. I was so convinced. I wasn't going to win that I didn't even check my email in the morning. And it wasn't until I got a message from another of my writer friends who was shortlisted in a different category saying, Kate, have you checked your email? I really think you should. that I went and looked.
I love it. I love it. I also love that clear, like how writing competitions
Yeah,
have measured your progress so tangibly over the years. Like
absolutely.
that very didn't list, then I long listed, then I short, then I like
Yeah,
such a clear
yeah,
development.
absolutely. Absolutely. And yet, it really clearly showed me how whether you're submitting to agents or submitting to competitions, it's all to do with taste, because that same manuscript in other competitions, some of them it didn't list at all, some of them it long listed, didn't get further. So it is all down to that specific moment in time and the whoever's reading it, their specific mood at the time and what they're looking for. There is so much luck in this, and people used to tell me all that all the time, and I used to think, well, there must be more to it than that. But actually, that is the final golden ingredient in any of this.
Yeah. It's so subjective, isn't it? And you
It
can't
really
take
is.
that subjectivity
No,
out of the equation.
no,
Just the right day, the right taste, the
that's
right
right.
preference for a certain character or story or prose
Yeah,
style, and yeah.
and often what people are looking for isn't what they think they're looking for, if you see what I mean. So, after I won the right mentor, I thought, well, that's it. Surely one of the other two agents is going to get in touch and, you know, talk to me about representation. And they didn't. And I thought, well, I don't really know what to do with this now. So I worked on other things, and then I saw in the good old days of Twitter, when it was still a lovely place to be, an agent I was following put out a shout for. She wanted a magical fantasy middle grade novel that she could take to Frankfurt. And I thought, oh, that's me. So I sent it to her, and I thought, well, while I'm at it, it takes a while to put a submission package together. I may as well put together a few other packages and send them out. One final push, and then I'll know I've done absolutely everything for this and I can move on. And the agent who put the shout out, I never heard back from. But a few months later, I did get an email from Becky Bagnall, but it was just before Christmas, and I didn't see her email.
Oh
And then
gosh.
she emailed again in January saying, I don't know if you saw my email, but I'd still really, really like this to see this if it's still available. Could you please send it in? And thank goodness she did, because I signed with her later that same year.
Kate, you made your agent wait over Christmas.
I didn't know she was there. So yes,
Oh.
it's been a long and uppy downy journey.
Can I take you back to when you first started querying? Um, like how many years were you querying for, and can you take us back to before the success of finding Becky? What was that journey like from the start?
Frustrating mostly, and hard, because you never know really why people are rejecting. It's really, really hard to tell whether it's just because your writing's not up to standard, or you've not constructed the the overall arc of the book well, or whether it's just not appealing in some other way. It's really hard to tell what the actual issue is. And I think sometimes when you get rejections, perhaps the person who's rejecting you doesn't know exactly why either. And, they'll say, oh, the voice wasn't quite right for me. Whereas it's not necessarily to do with that. Maybe it's just something else that's to do with the opening, if you see what I mean, the way you've constructed it and whether you've put the right ingredients in the right place, in the right way. But I think I started querying the second time around properly about 2017, and it was 2024 that I signed with my agent. So there have definitely been times when it's been extremely difficult to keep going over that time.
How did you keep going? Were there moments where you thought, I'm just going to stop, it's too much?
Many moments, many moments. But actually, that was one of the things that that first very long break that I took from writing between my first book and my second book, that's one of the things I learned, because yes, I was doing this thing called adulting and life, and I had a good relationship, I had my children, I had a career, that professional career that I loved and still do, but something was missing, and I really, really missed writing. I really missed that buzz of creating something and wondering whether it's appealing to other people. And the periods of time when I'm not writing, I'm not very happy. I'm probably quite grumpy and annoying to be around. And I don't want to be that person. And also, I don't want to be the person who gives up on their dreams, because I want to I want to be a good role model for my children, that actually you can follow your dreams, you can do your best to have that thing that seems impossible to have. And in fact, I was talking to one of my friends just on Friday, actually, and she said that her daughter is thinking about what she wants to do, what career-wise, and she said she might want to be a speech and language therapist. And I said, oh, that's great. If she wants to talk to me about it, that's brilliant. And then we chatted a bit more, and then it turns out that her daughter also wants to be a writer. And I said, oh, great. Well, if she wants to talk to me about that as well, that's fine. And she said, yeah, I told my daughter about what you do. And she said, she's living my life. Oh. And I thought, well, actually, I guess maybe I am now.
Yeah.
But it's hard to take stock of that, because I would have had exactly the same reaction as her at her age. Looking ahead, it feels impossible because there's such a long way to go. Neither of those are easy career choices to make, actually. Let's be honest. And, I think it can be really hard to keep your eyes on the prize and remember why you're doing it and keep that enthusiasm going. But that was one of the main things that helped me, was, no, I actually really do want this, because I want to be a little old lady looking back on her life going, I gave that a really good shot. No one can say I didn't try, and no one can say I didn't improve my writing. So I feel like maybe future me can look back on me now and go, yeah, you did it.
Yeah. Yeah, you did it. You did do it. I know so many writers, and writers can be a peculiar mix of kind of having that confidence to fully immerse themselves in an imaginative world and think, I'm just going to spend hours and hours in this imaginative world and create something beautiful.
With my imaginary friends.
Yes, yeah. So there's a confidence to do that and to embrace that creativity. But then I know so many writers who actually are very sensitive and very vulnerable. And I think when you take that step into querying, it's that if you have a thin skin, which makes you such a wonderful creative, it's then how you navigate the journey to publishing, isn't it, when you're faced with so much rejection. Do you have any advice for writers with how to deal with that?
Absolutely, yeah. It's really, really hard, and I find it very difficult to deal with feedback. I have improved a lot over the years. Probably the thing that has helped me with that is feedback from other writers, critique groups, beta read swaps, and that's really helped me, because I learn a lot about how to accept feedback by giving feedback, because I've had like probably most of us, there have been times when I've had feedback that has been very harsh and very difficult to take, and has led to those moments of, oh, clearly I can't do this. What am I doing? Wasting my time doing this when I could actually be doing my profession that I'm actually good at and earning some money at, a bit more. What am I doing? So I think it's taught me a lot about how to frame my own comments to other writers so that I'm making sure I'm being helpful, and not kind of taking over, like trying to replace their voice with my voice, because they don't write the same way as me. And sometimes when they have written a phrase, for example, I might write it differently, but I would never say that. If it works for their story, then it works brilliantly. So I think I've learned a lot about how to take feedback through that. And it's knowing, as time goes on and you meet more and more writers, it's you learn to kind of pare down and really hone in on who gives you the kind of feedback, who gets your voice, who gets what you're trying to do, who gives you the kind of feedback that you can work from and improve from and learn from. So that's probably been the main thing, and attending workshops, learning how to do it better. Yeah, I think those are probably the two main things.
Have you done any writing courses, Cate?
Loads. Absolutely tons. Yes. Yes. And oddly, sometimes I'll look back through my notes and go, oh, I'd forgotten I'd been on that. Let's read through those. Oh, that's really useful. Oh, I must remember to use that next time. So I think it's definitely horses for courses, isn't it? You've got to pick the right one sometimes. Not all writing conferences or workshops are equal, but Scooby do some great ones. Write Mentor do some great ones. I'm Imprint, their writing festival that they did was brilliant. The Write Mentor one's really good because Stuart, who runs it, makes a real effort to keep both the conference and the hub fees and the competition entry fees really low, so it's a lot more accessible for people, and the conference itself is always live streamed, even if it's a live meetup, which I think he's only been able to do once actually, but every year it's online, and that's really, really helpful. It makes it so much more accessible.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah,
I've always fancied, I look at the Curtis Brown courses and I think they look amazing. I would literally have to sell a kidney.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And Ascent, part of it was built on that, giving writers more, because I got so fed up of entering a writing competition and then being bombarded with, and now into this course and just pay me lots more money. And I thought, there are elements of that paywall that is just a huge barrier to so many writers.
Yeah. And actually, you don't writing like masters are brilliant, they're wonderful, but I could never afford that. I couldn't afford it financially, and I couldn't afford it time-wise.
And the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially once you've had children, you can't take a year or 2 years out of paid employment and look after a child and do a master's degree. Like, it is literally impossible.
Yeah.
Unless you happen to have a very large savings account. So, those things are great, but they just were never for me. They were never going to be for me.
Yeah. It's wonderful to hear there's still so many courses available and you can access online nowadays. And I am a huge fan of Brandon Sanderson's courses because it's all on YouTube, his university course, and I think that is just incredible. He is
absolutely
what some people pay so much money for. He's put on YouTube for writers to access for free. It's just incredible the resources that are out there.
Yeah, that's right.
Can I take you back to when you signed with Becky? So I feel like so many writers are aware of how to query for an agent, how to get an agent. Can you give us a bit of an insight into the process after that? So perhaps, what did you have a phone call with Becky?
I had a long Zoom chat with her.
Yeah.
So she'd obviously read the full of the Spell Whisperer, and I'd also been working on a young adult romantasy, and so she'd considered that as well. So we had a long chat about what her agenting style is like, whether, how editorial she is, because I was looking for somebody with that real kind of editorial eye. And Becky used to be a commissioning editor for a couple of the big publishers, so she knows her onions. And we got along well on we still do get along well. Didn't mean to use past tense then. Whoops. We still get along well on a personal level. And she encouraged me to make a few changes to the manuscript that I'd sent her for The Spell Whisperer. And I spent a couple of months, mainly over the school summer holidays, working on that. And then we went out on submission. So it was relatively quick to going out on submission.
And then when you got the news about a book deal, can you talk us through that moment?
It was amazing. I was absolutely delighted when Becky emailed me and said that we'd had an offer from Moon and Bird. I couldn't believe it, because this manuscript in particular had been knocked back so many times. I thought, come on, Nan's worked for me really hard for me. She's won a competition. She's got me my agent. She can't possibly manage to get me a publisher as well, but she has.
Wow.
Go, Nan. And as soon as I read Brittany's response, so Brittany's the editor I'm working with at Moon and Bird, and as soon as I read her response and how enthusiastic they were about the story, and again, she really seemed to get it, really seemed to get what I was trying to achieve. I just knew she was the right editor for me and for Nan, and that, she wasn't going to try and get me to make it a completely different kind of book. It's been a really lovely experience with them so far. The only surprising thing I found was how easy it was for me to kind of slip back into Nan's world and pick up where I left off, because by then I was working on my young adult writing, and that's quite a different voice and tone. It's very different. So it was actually really lovely to go back and revisit Juno and get spooked by the soul raisers all over again.
And what's it like working with an editor once? I mean, it must be great because you've got real proper deadlines to work towards, I presume.
Yes, love a deadline. Yeah, and actually Moon and Bird have been brilliant at giving me a full rundown, a full kind of itinerary of what the whole process would be, from signing to them to like a whole dated timeline to us before between signing and when it would come out. So we'll expect to give you your edits on this date, and you'll have to give them back by this date, and then you'll have the next round on this date. And it's been like clockwork. It's been really, really helpful for me, because I do need to know. For me personally, I work much better if I know what I'm expected to do and when.
Yeah.
And the actual editorial process has been great. It's been really, really interesting, actually, because now the best friend, Joe, in the novel is a faun, but he wasn't always a faun. He used to be just an ordinary boy without magic. And they said, well, seeing as the witches are not human, there's another species. And I thought, are they? Okay, they're another species. Okay, fine.
I thought
We
they're
thought
just
it'd be great to
humans
have
with
the.
powers.
That's what I
Oh,
thought, but no,
oh,
they're another species. So that was fun. They said, could you make the best friend another different kind of magical species? And I thought, maybe I could. Maybe I could. What would be fun for him to be? I know. Let's make him a faun, and that will be another reason for why he's kind of looked down on a little bit and ostracised by a lot of the. He's the only faun in the city, and it's a little bit of an oddity that he was a foundling outside the city walls, and nobody really knows where he's come from because there aren't any other there's no woodland nearby outside the city, and no one's ever seen a faun up until this point. They know they exist, but they've never seen one. So I thought, actually, that's quite fun to play with. So it was nice to be given that kind of nugget of an idea of, how about this? What could you do with that, Kate? And I thought, what can I do with that? So, and there wasn't too much in the way of developmental changes they wanted me to make. Other than that, that was probably the biggest thing, and working on some of the deepening some of the family relationships a bit more and strengthening those. So I was pleasantly surprised.
wonderful. And so after your developmental edits, you then onto copyline edits. Is that with the same editor or a copyline edits with a
So
specific...
we did 2 rounds of developmental edits, and during that process, Brittany made some suggestions about some of the line edits. But and then we went on to copy edits with an external copy editor, which I was really nervous about because I didn't know who this person was. She doesn't work at Moon and Bird, but again, I lucked out. She completely got the story, really enjoyed working on it, and she was just a joy to work with. There was barely anything in terms of copy edits for me to do, really. Changing the odd phrase here and there, tweaking it slightly, but mostly it was commas and other kinds of punctuation. So I've been really, really lucky.
They'll divide a nation, commas, Kate. They'll divide a nation.
I know. Well, I don't use Oxford commas, and Moon and Bird wanted Oxford commas, so I was like, okay. But I don't. You as the writer don't have to work out what where to put them. That's the copy editor's job.
Oh, super!
That was great. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, next steps.
Yeah.
At what point will you be holding your book in a bookshop?
So it will be out at the end of August next year. I think the 31st, although pre-sales will be open at some point before then, although I don't know exactly when. So yeah, that'll be exciting.
Well, it's so wonderful to hear your journey from sending off those printed off openings and posting them out to agents to and next year I will be holding my book in my hands in a bookshop. It's a very inspiring journey.
Can't quite believe it's true.
And so for our last section, we're going to move on to advice for writers. Do you have any top tips for writers?
Yeah, keep learning, keep working on it. Nobody's first draft is fit for human consumption, ever. It just isn't. Keep learning through workshops, entering competitions, critique groups, beta read partners, just keep going. Find your writer friends, because they are the ones that will pick you up by the bootstraps and give you a kick up the backside if you need it. Tell you to stop being so precious and just get on and write it. You have to have that sensitivity in order to be able to write well and appealingly and write 3D characters. And allow yourself to wallow a little bit, but don't get mired in that wallow. Move on from there, and writer friends are so incredibly helpful with that, and that's one of the other things that the Right Mentor community and Stuart White really pushes, is that idea of a rising tide lifts all boats. You know, on the hub there are writers of all different stages in their career, just starting out or stuck in the query trenches, or and published authors as well. So and everybody works together. It's a real community feel. So find your community of writers, and that will help you keep going. It can be really, really lonely otherwise. And like I did, first of all, you will probably end up giving up and not being very happy, or at least giving up for long periods of time. So that would be really my top tip, is find other writers that you get along with, who you can really encourage and support one another. You know, your writer friends are the emergency airbag / warm and cosy duvet that we all need, I think, you know.
I'll put a link in the show notes to Right Now as well, so if people want to look at the hub and check it out.
Yeah, that's Right Mentor.
Right Mentor. So,
and actually, that's a really great group to join is Right Magic.
I've not heard of that.
Yeah, they're Facebook based, although I think they do have a website as well, and it's volunteer run and led, and they do writing sprints over Zoom. There's usually several every day, and they are brilliant for keeping me accountable, making me show up, getting my bum in that seat and starting to write. You know, you set your goals, say what you're going to do at the beginning of the meeting, stay in the meeting but turn off your video, your camera and microphone, go off and write for 45 minutes, 50 minutes, and then you come back and say how you did. And it works really well for helping me to pace myself with my writing, because I do have a slight tendency to really sink into what I'm doing and get into real hyper focus, and then, you know, several hours later and I suddenly realise I haven't eaten or drunk anything, and I'm actually not, you know, I probably need to stop and take a break. So it really helps me to pace myself and help my day. And they also do, probably around 3 times a year, they do boot camps, writing boot camps. So you set like an overall goal and you write every day, even if it's just minimally. You can set whatever goal you like, whether it's number of words or number of hours spent writing, and you gradually chip away all together, and they set other challenges, and it's a really brilliant way of keeping that energy going.
That sounds incredible. Remind me of the name. Right Magic, was it?
Right Magic.
Right
yeah.
Magic. Super.
And the other one was Right Mentor.
Right Mentor. Thank you so much. If you could pick one thing that's had the greatest impact on your craft, what would it be?
Reading.
And are there any writing craft books that you would recommend?
Yes, lots. Probably my favourite ones that I pretty much always go to are Story Genius.
Oh, I adore that book. I've even got it for a giveaway. We've got a giveaway for a Scent Novel Prize this month.
Yeah.
It's here on my prize. Every time I do a giveaway, I'm like, I'm just going to put Story Genius into the pack.
Yours is in much better condition than mine. Mine is dogged, full of notes. It's full of post-it notes. Yeah, it's looking a bit sorry for itself because it's very well thumbed. So that one, and Save the Cat Writes a Novel, which is also very well thumbed. And when I'm planning, I tend to kind of switch between the two. So I'll start off with Save the Cat for exploring the premise and working out the kind of main stepping stones. Who is this character? Where are they? What are they doing? What's the actual issue? And then I'll explore it more in depth with Story Genius. And then after my first draft, I'll go back to Save the Cat and go, have I got the right thing in the right place? So yeah, those ones. And if you write action, Aki Flinkhart's Fight Like a Girl is brilliant. Even if your character isn't female, even if you're not writing like fight scenes, it's great for pacey writing, and how to block out action scenes so everyone's in the right place and not doing anything impossible. That's another one.
I've never heard of that one. That sounds great.
it's very readable. It's quite short, and it's written in a really reader friendly, accessible way. I wholeheartedly recommend that one. Yeah.
And our last question, Kate, if you could go back to when you first started writing and offer yourself some advice, what would that advice be?
Kate, don't be so precious. Just keep writing and get yourself some writer mates.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time and expertise
Thank
today.
you.
Kate is a reader for Ascent Novel Prize, and she's looking forward to reading all your middle grade novels. And is there anything you're particularly looking forward to reading, Kate?
Well, like I said earlier, I read really eclectically, so anything probably with a little bit more of a literary edge, or anything that makes me laugh, something that's got some characters to really root for, and I do love a really killer first line, something that makes me go, "Oh, what's this about? What do you mean?" Let me find out.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Killer lines do great in competitions, don't they? I think they
yes,
really, yeah.
absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kate.
Thank you.